Shalom and welcome to Counting the Cost, a linguistic analysis of the Hebrew numbers. Today we will talk about the number 2. The root idea of the number 2 is change. The word 2 in Hebrew is shnayim. It's Strong's 8147. It can mean two or both. Genesis 1:16. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Genesis 2:25. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Shnayim with a nun is the masculine form of the adjective. The feminine form has a tav in it, as we see in Genesis 4:19. And Lamech took unto him two, and it says there shtei, wives. The name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other Zilha. Sheni can mean second or other, again having to do with the idea of two. Genesis 1:8. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Again we see in Genesis 4:19, Lamech took unto him two, that's shtei, wives. The name of one was Adah, and the name of the other, Hashenit, as an adjective, the second, or the other one, is Tzil'ah. 2 Samuel 16:19. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in thy father's presence, so will I be in thy presence. So a second time, another time. A parent root is a two-letter phoneme which expresses an idea, but might not be a word in itself. The parent root for sheni is shen, shin, nun. Now it happens that shin nun, is a word, and it means tooth. Perhaps if you look at the letter shin, you can see the little teeth sticking up. It also means ivory, because ivory is made out of the tooth of certain animals. And it's quite interesting that as human beings, we actually get two sets of teeth. Exodus 21:24, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. 1 Kings 10:18, moreover the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best gold. By extension, this root can mean something that's sharp in the way that teeth are sharp. 1 Samuel 14:4. And between the passages by which Jonathan sought to go over unto the Philistines' garrison, there was a sharp rock on the one side and a sharp rock on the other side. And the name of the one was Bozez, and the name of the other was Seneh. A slightly longer form of this word, shninah, is by extension a sharp word. Now let's see how it's used. Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the nations whither Yahweh shall lead thee. So this is a harsh word. Jeremiah 24:9. And I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse in all places whither I shall drive them. Again, from the idea of sharpening and sharpening teeth, we have a verb, an adjective, or a verb. Whet is kind of an old word, to make sharp. Isaiah 5:28, whose arrows are sharpened, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. In Psalm 64:4, in the King James, you will see it in verse 64:3, who whet their tongue like a sword. In other words, they're sharpening it, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. A unique use of this root is found in Deuteronomy 6:7, where we can see that it's translated teach diligently. If you look at the Hebrew, Vishinantam levanecha, and you shall teach them diligently to your children. This brings up a lot of ideas, a lot of references in our mind. The idea of chewing on the word, meditating on it, of cutting our teeth on the word from the time that we're small children. The fact that the word can sharpen us, as we might see in Hebrews 4, that the word is sharper than any two-edged sword. Another related root from the Shin Nun parent root is Sheni, which is translated as scarlet. And usually we see this in construct with another noun, which is tola. Tola is a worm. It is Strong's number 8438. And every time that it's mentioned in the building in Exodus, we see for scarlet, we see tola'at sheni for that dye. The dye comes from a bug, which is the Coccus ilicis, and its dried body yields a coloring to make the dye. And if you have not heard this story, it is a beautiful story. It's true. You can check it anywhere if you read about this bug. That the mother anchors itself to the tree and the babies are born underneath. And as the babies are old enough to escape, the mother's dead body falls off the tree, leaving a red stain for the dye on the tree. It's a beautiful picture of Messiah. The bug is still used for coloring, and even in food it's used. It's called cochineal, that's cochineal, and you might want to be checking your pink grapefruit juice and some other things where it is used for coloring. Genesis 38:28, and it came to pass when she travailed that the one who put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. In this usage, it just uses sheni by itself for red. In Exodus 25:4 and many other places where it talks about the tabernacle, and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair, it says tola'at sheni. How is this related, this red color related to the idea of two or teeth? It's the color of your gums is also red. Another root related to Shin Nun is a verb, shana, which means to change or repeat, to do something twice. Genesis 41:32. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because a thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. 1 Samuel 21:13, and he changed his behavior before them, and feigned himself mad in their hands, and scrabbled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fell down upon his beard. David is at Achimelech, and he's trying to escape. Psalm 34:1, a psalm of David when he changed his behavior before Abimelech, as we were just talking about, who drove him away, and he departed. In 1 Kings 14:2, and Jeroboam said to his wife, Arise, I pray thee, and disguise thyself, that thou be not known to be the wife of Jeroboam, and get thee to Shiloh. Behold, there is Ahijah the prophet, which told me that I should be king over this people. Of course, she disguises herself, but the prophet already knows that she is coming. And you probably know this word, Shana, when we talk about Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the year. Shana means year. Easily related to the idea of change. As we go from one year to another year, things seem to change. Genesis 1:14, and God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Sometimes we see the Shana repeated, Shana la Shana, and that means year by year in a yearly way. Leviticus 25:53. And as a yearly hired servant shall he be with him, that is, from year to year, and the other shall not rule with rigor over him in thy sight. Cognate roots are roots that are related to each other by linguistic rules of sound shift. Some of the cognate roots of shana are shana with an aleph, yashan, which picks up a yod at the front, and sha'an, which has an aleph in the middle. Shana with an aleph is pretty much thought to just be a misspelling for shana with a hey. We see it in a few places. Ecclesiastes 8:1. Who is the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. Lamentations 4:1. How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. By extension, there is a word shan'an, which only appears in one place, and I bring it up because it has occasionally this translation, as we see in the King James in Psalm 68:17. The chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. I do not know why they chose to translate this as angels. In the Septuagint, it is translated as blessed ones or prosperous ones. The only idea that really comes from this word shan'an is that it is multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. The Young's literal translation reads, the chariots of God are myriads, thousands of changes. So he decided to relate it back to the word for change. The Lord is among them in Sinai in their sanctuary. The root yashan means to sleep or also to grow old. Sleep is a change in the sense that it is in a different, we're in a different mental state during sleep. And as far as being old, the idea of being a long time, we have even an idiom in English, which is to be long in the tooth. Means to be old. So those ideas are related. Genesis 2:21. And Yahweh God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. Psalm 121, verse 4. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Daniel 12:2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. One of the very few verses in Tanakh that indicates that there is a life to come after death. Leviticus 26:10. And ye shall eat old store, and bring forth the old because of the new. What we have stored from last year is considered to be old. You notice that the person here is bringing forth both old and new out of their treasure, out of their food store. Deuteronomy 4:25. When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and ye shall corrupt yourselves and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahweh thy God to provoke him to anger. So we have this idea of a long time being similar to being old, for something going on again and again and again and again. The root sha'an is also draws on this idea of resting, of sleeping, to be at ease. Proverbs 1:33. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. Jeremiah 30:10. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. What can we learn about the importance of two, of change, of being sharpened, of sleeping? For one thing, we know that Yahweh never changes. Malachi 3:6, for I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. In Hebrews 1:12, it is talking about the skies, the heavens, and it says, and as a vesture shall thou fold them up, but they shall be changed. That is the heavens. But thou, talking about Yahweh, art the same, and thy years shall not fail. One thing that has happened to people is that we have been taught that as there is change, there is some kind of growth or some movement in a direction. And this is an evolutionary idea that we need to wash from our minds and change our minds through understanding that Yahweh does not change. Indeed, we're going to look at some kind of change that we go through, but there is a French proverb, plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. The more things change, the more they stay the same. This might be a good bumper sticker to be driving around with these days. What kind of change can we expect? 1 Corinthians 15:51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. This is actually a play on words in the Hebrew. Now you can see that. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So there is a change that will be effected at the end of time by the Lord. 2 Corinthians 3:18. But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. So over the course of our lives, we are being changed by the Spirit, but then there will be a change at the end of time. That change is only affected by Yeshua, and it's only by his blood. We have the beautiful picture of the insect, of the red dye left on the tree. Colossians 1:20. And having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. By him, I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. 1 Peter 1:18. For as much as ye know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Messiah, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, as the mother bug gives her life for her babies and leaves that red stain on the tree. That is how we can look at Messiah, who gave his life for us, left a red stain on a tree, but was raised again from the dead. I'm sure there are many other ideas that you can think about that are related to these roots. In the meantime, tasim et ha'inayim al hashamayim, keep your eye on the sky, your redemption draweth nigh. Shalom.
ויבנו צייר ומגדלים בירושלים ויחזקם